Hi, this is Meteorologist Chris Tomer. Let's talk mountain weather and ski conditions. This is the on the snow before you go forecast, and let's just jump right into the analysis. We'll start with radar and satellite here, and we've got one storm moving into the west coast. What we're going to find here as we slide into New Year's Day, and this weekend is we'll have one initial storm, and it's going to be minor, come up over the top for New Year's Eve. And then we're going to watch as the pattern shifts, and the whole jet stream is going to begin to shift to the south a little bit and just pile the moisture into the Pacific Northwest. So this is the current state. What you see here, this will come up over the top. That's the low that will do that. And then behind it, there's additional storms. There's like 3 different storms lined up for the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast. And this you can really see happening with the jet stream pattern. So let me show you how this works. Here's the initial low right here. Watch as I put this into motion. So here's the low, begins to drop down through parts of Utah, Wyoming, and it may brush very lightly parts of Colorado on New Year's Eve. But then it kind of runs into some problems. There's another low down in Texas, and the whole thing may wash out, may run into that. But what's really important to notice is back here, there's another low. In fact, there's a series of lows. The whole thing is going to begin to transition. Look what happens with the jet stream by the time we get into Saturday morning. The jet's beginning to run more west to east, and that begins to shuffle and push or escort a lot of moisture into the west coast and the Pacific Northwest. Out in the northeast, a lot of that energy will begin to gather and begin to move up into the northeast. What we're going to find there is 3 different waves, 2 to 3 different small waves of snow. Light to moderate accumulations will keep the snow coming up into the northeast all the way into this weekend. I don't think it's going to be anything huge, but 2 to 3 small consistent waves. I'm going to run this all the way out into Monday so you can see. Look at that pattern. The jet's just continuing to throw moisture into the west with that west to east flow. So there's a transition underway. You probably see this graphic on the front page, but this is the overall accumulation between Wednesday and Sunday. So again, you've got 2 to 3 storms up here in the northeast with small consistent snows, but the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast, that's where the biggest accumulations are going to be over the next several days. So this is our future radar, really powerful, fun product. You can watch the snow begin to move into the interior here. So you've got New Year's Eve, snow falling in the Tetons, the Wasatch, all the way back into the high sea area, and of course, waves of moisture up there into the Pacific Northwest. All right, let's move through that night into New Year's morning. Like I said, the whole thing kind of washes away. It runs into a headwind. Ahead of it's like a traffic jam of sorts, and the whole thing just kind of goes away. It does brush very lightly parts of Colorado, but behind it, this is really what I want you to notice on the Futurecast, on this future radar. And there it is, these waves of moisture beginning to run into the west coast through Saturday, and on Sunday as well. The next heavy wave of moisture begins to move into the west coast, and this is going to be a good setup for parts of the interior here, through parts of Revelstoke down into Schweitzer. And then you'll see some waves beginning to gather, but it could be late Sunday into next week when we have an even stronger flow into parts of Jackson and into the Wasatch. You can see part of it taking shape right there by Sunday evening. Look at the moisture beginning to move into the interior. So as far as accumulations go, I'll run this through time and stop it at different moments so you can see. This is we've got New Year's Eve morning right here. A bit of new snow through the Tetons, down in through the Sierra, and the numbers will continue to build across the Pacific Northwest. So by Friday morning, again, that first storm kind of washes out. Let's just go into Saturday. You can see the numbers ticking up just a little bit on the interior, but big time up here into the Pacific Northwest. By Sunday morning, we've almost doubled some of those numbers up there in the Pacific Northwest. Schweitzer's in great shape, Revelstoke, Fernie as well. Let's go into Sunday night. Some of that snow begins to run in towards Jackson Hole, Grand Targhee, Big Sky, and those numbers will start to tick up into Monday. And look at these good numbers through Revelstoke, Schweitzer, and my goodness, we're talking feet of snow up there into the Pacific Northwest. A look at the Northeast again. It's a 2 or 3 different light to moderate bands of snow that will move up and through this area, and so we could be talking about these kinds of totals by Sunday night. All right, I hope you have a great New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. I always appreciate you tuning in here. And again, this was the report for On the Snow.